Hey there, folks. What's happening? Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a little impromptu video here. So, listen, I get comments on the videos that I post, and from sometimes I'll respond, and other times I won't, and I just shake my head. But I think it's important. I think it's really important to start addressing some of these comments. And one of them that recently just came up was I did an interview with Sharps Technologies, and now Robert Hayes, that has taken over as the CEO, I think has done a phenomenal job. Now I get one comment on this, and the comment is from JMP 124 3 days ago. What about sales from Hungary? Bought it in 2022 and sold nothing, question mark. Okay, so let's take a look at these things. One thing I will say to you is this. If you've never run a company or built a company, uh, running a company, building a company is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do. The second thing that I would like to point out is it's even more difficult when it's publicly traded, right? Because you have all these people that are really critiquing every move you make. Now, Robert came in, and yes, they needed a manufacturing facility. They bought a facility in Hungary. I'm going to assume, and this is what I assumed before I did check with Robert to see if, there was a specific reason other than transition, right? I mean, you don't just go buy this facility and it's got all the equipment that you need. It's got, all the building is laid out exactly as you want it for efficiencies and all this other stuff. There's no tenant improvements. You just bought this thing and you can start pumping out syringes the next day. It's not how it works, right? Regulatory approvals, maybe special licensing to make medical devices. There's all kinds of different things that can happen, especially when you're buying a facility internationally. So, 2022, it's 2023. 2022 is not that long ago. I think I would say temper your expectations as to how fast that factory is going to be up and running and selling syringes or pumping them out. You have to be somewhat patient, right? But let's just forget about the fact that you have to there's that transition period. Let's talk about what else came up during that time, right? So who would have thought that one of the largest compound pharma companies that are privately held and probably have a valuation of somewhere around $3 billion or so would decide to build their own syringe facility, even though what they are is a pharma company. They're not a syringe company, they're a pharma company. And they build this facility to make syringes because during COVID, one of their suppliers that they paid upfront to make sure that they would have syringes for their customers, right? The compound pharmas putting together these drugs for these drug companies, and they don't have any syringes because the company that they paid upfront for the syringes sold them during COVID to other companies. Why? Probably because they were getting a big markup, right? So that forced Nephron to build its own facility. Now, they are not manufacturers of syringes. That's not what they do. So what happens? Robert builds a relationship with the owner of this pharma, right? And is in the process right now of negotiating or closing, I guess, forget the negotiating because that has been done, they've come to an agreement. Now they just got to close the deal, right? But what they have come to an agreement on is they're going to have Sharps run that facility, do what they do, which is make syringes, and they can make syringes for all customers, any customers, right? As well as they will be making syringes for Nephron. And how does that look? Well, they're going to sign a 30-year lease from Nephron to have a state-of-the-art, brand new facility in the United States. And on top of that, for them to sign the 30-year, they're asking Nephron, okay, well, here's the deal. You need to help us be able to pay for this facility. Give us a 10-year contract where we're going to sell you $30 million a year in syringes. Are you kidding me? You mean they've got all the equipment already, and you're going to be able to get that equipment damn near at cost. You're going to have a 30-year lease with a guaranteed customer for 10 years. What was more important? What's coming out of Hungary, or what has been created between these two companies? In my view, the most important thing is what has been created between those two companies. And if they close that deal, it puts Sharps in an unbelievable, fantastic position, right? That to me is far more important than what Hungary is doing. As far as I'm concerned, they may determine that the facility that they have in the United States is plenty sufficient to handle all of their manufacturing capacity needs. At that point, Hungary is an asset that they can sell off, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't think that's what Robert's going to do. I think Robert's going to make it so that they have two facilities now that they can manufacture syringes in. I see that as a good thing, right? I think the focus where it was placed is absolutely, without question, the right decision. And that's really all that I can say. It's easy as investors of a company to sit back and poke holes in everything that a company has done wrong. Anybody can play Monday morning quarterback, right? Oh, I would have done it this way. I would have ran from the 4-yard line instead of throwing the pass and gotten the interception. I would have done this. Everybody can always look back and say, should have done this, could have done this, would have done this. Bottom line is you have to trust management, that they are doing the right thing for the company and ultimately for the shareholders, the stakeholders. If you don't trust the CEO or the leadership, then you probably should not be in the stock. I can't tell you how many times I listen to conference calls, earnings calls, and really you hear the retail investors, and it is a retail investor because you can tell. You can tell by the questions and by, sometimes it's not even questions, they just want to bitch. They want to bitch about the fact that the stock is down and, what are you doing to change that? I'm going to tell you this right now. A lot of times, management can't do anything to change the direction that a stock is heading. Not anything that they can do, except for continue to execute the plan, right? As long as they continue to execute the plan, at some point, at some point the stock will reflect what they're accomplishing. Right now in this market, it's been a brutal market for 29 months for small and micro cap stocks. I don't care what you announce. I don't care if you've grown stronger. It doesn't matter in this market climate. 90% of stocks are going to follow what the sector that they are in is doing, right? And the sector, the entire sector for small and micro cap names has been getting pummeled. So that's what you're dealing with. Now, the question is that creating value? Because there are stocks that are executing. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. They're getting stronger. They're getting more efficient. They went through a pandemic. They went through the fastest interest rate hike cycle. They've gone through supply chain issues, and they've got stronger. At some point, I promise you, those strengths will reflect in the stock price. They don't now. How did they get rewarded? We've got stocks that are down 70 to 90%. They haven't been rewarded. They've been punished. They've been punished with the rest of the market. But that is what creates opportunity. And I think there is a great opportunity with Sharps. As of right now, I think what Robert Hayes has done with Sharps Technologies is phenomenal. He closes this deal. It is a game changer for the company. And I don't know how else to reiterate that. When people call up and all they do is complain or poke holes, or I'm going to start reacting some of these questions or comments that are sent in on these videos. I get a rough time because I don't ask enough tough questions, or I don't hold them accountable for previous failures. Or listen, I am not a person that likes to focus in the rearview mirror. I am a person that likes to focus forward. And if I feel as though that the leadership team has a good vision, they have a good strategy, and they are executing the strategy to the best of their ability in the environment that they are in, what am I going to bitch about? Right? We can talk about, I've had, someone say, well, what about the failed drug for this little biotech company? Well, what about it? I mean, what do you want them to say? It's a failed drug. You want to spend a half hour or 45 minutes talking about why it failed? Is it going to change the outcome? No, it failed. Move on. The question is, do they have anything coming up that there's still something that to be excited about, right? Would I rather have them sit and try and, make a failed drug that doesn't meet statistical difference between what's on the market? No. Let it go. Move on. It's that ability to say, you know what, this isn't working. Let's move on to the next thing, because let's not waste any more time and money on this. Let's move on to the next one. Right? You could sit there and try and force something, or you could just accept the fact that it's not working. It's failed. So we're going to move on, and hopefully there's something to move on to. I don't spend a lot of time looking and trying to persecute people for their failures. What I'm more interested in is, what's the plan? What's the vision? Where are we going from here? And what's the strategy to get there? That's, to me, what is more important. So if you don't like my interviews, I understand. You don't have to watch them, right? I am not the kind of person that is just going to bash people or focus on a bunch of negatives, because where is that going to get you? I just don't see what value that brings. I try to get to know people, and I think people that are running companies really do want to do the best thing for the company, for the employees, for themselves, for everyone, right? For the stakeholders. I don't think anybody sets out to say, gee, I really want to run this company into the ground and fail everyone. I don't think that is their goal. Not most people's. But so from now on, when I start to see comments like this, JMP 124, I appreciate the comment, but you know what? There was a lot more in that video that was way more important than the facility in Hungary. And, you know, let's hope that Robert can close the deal and walk away with that $30 million contract and see where things go from there. Okay? That's it. Everybody, to any veterans out there, thank you so much for everything that you've done to protect the country, protect our freedoms, and fight for our freedoms. And you are genuinely, genuinely appreciated.